Resolution 444-14 urges the Hawaii Invasive Species Council to award a $400,000 grant to the Hawaii County Department of Parks and Recreation to research methods to control the spread of little red fire ant. Funds would be used towards labor, supplies, and equipment. Reference Communication 907, introduced by Mr. Onishi, waive GREDC.
Mr. Onishi.
Move to approve Resolution 444-14.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Kanuha.
Yeah.
Mr. Onishi.
Thank you.
Before you begin, can I ask you a real quick question?
Yes.
Is this going to be a long discussion?
No.
Oh, it's going to be fast?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I want to take a brief, maybe 5-minute recess.
No, this should be fast.
Why don't we take a 5-minute recess, and then we can get started. 5 minutes. Thanks, Margaret, for the heads up. I appreciate
And also the amount that's going, we're asking for it's going to be now $403,476, and then instead of saying research methods, it's continued efforts, and so that's where I think the people who testified, the public, kind of got that mixed up, and we had to do the corrections, and we're sorry that we didn't do it. Sorry, I didn't catch that earlier. And also, if you look down to number 2, where it says, whereas we have it, it had like Hawaii County, Honolulu County, and so forth. So we took out Hawaii County because it says here, whereas the information from this program, which is on Hawaii County, will allow state agencies, and then we name everybody else. Okay. And and then on the third change would be further resolved by the Council of the County of Hawaii. We're just changing amount again from $400,000 to $403,476. And then instead of saying research methods, it's continued efforts.
Alrighty. Any Miss Willie, then Miss Ford.
Mine is just a typo on his.
Oh, okay.
On the number 3, it says the strikeout research methods, continue efforts, to continue efforts, right? Is that what you meant to say? I think it is.
Well, continue. Yeah. Well, I guess on the title it says continue.
There's a okay. I see the 2. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Miss Willie.
Okay, I just want to say that I think that this is great. I think this is a really important issue. I do want to point out that what we're focusing on here with these funds are the parks. Now, definitely we need to take care of the parks, and I think there's at least 3, if not more, where that's a
Mr. Chair, point of clarification or point of order. We're talking about the amendment right now. So we passed the amendment, then we can talk about the main subject.
However, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Anything else on the amendment? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We're now back to the main motion. Now, Miss...
Do I still get the floor?
Yes, if you want it. Yep.
Yeah, because then it's my bill. Okay.
Yep.
And so, so I just want to explain a little bit or history about what happened. And as I mentioned to you folks before, we did, during the legislature, this past legislature, we tried to get, Senator Kahele had put in a bill to get like 300,000? 290,000 going directly to Parks and Rec to help provide the extra funding that they needed to continue doing that eradication or control of the fire ants along all the beaches. Because prior to that, we've been, from like 2 years ago, we've been working with the Hawaii Ant Lab, and then also to kind of clarify to the public, we've been working Parks and Rec, Hawaii Ant Lab, CTAR, which is Dr. Arnold Haro, which was mentioned earlier in testimony. We all working together to find out what's the best solution to eradicate or control the fire ants at all the beach parks or all public parks. Okay, and so what happened is, Senator Kahele was willing to put in this bill, he put in the money, but didn't pass the legislature. And so the other option was, our backup plan B was to get money from the Hawaii Invasive Species Council. And so Parks and Rec did submit an application which was due by May 23rd, and we got that in. So this resolution is encouraging the Hawaii Invasive Species Council to support the application that Parks and Rec is putting in for that $403,000, $476. Okay, so if I can get your, my colleagues' support in approving this. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Willie?
Okay, I just want to define that this is focused on the parks. The fire ant is not only at the parks, and since like 2007, 2008, was working on this, and we did pass, or I helped with Pete Hoffman, putting together a resolution back in 2008, Resolution 816-08, basically going through what can we as a county do, and we worked on actually very specific things to be done. I handed out a copy of this, and none of those things, well, overall, none of them have been done. There's a little bit, but basically being really aggressive, being really proactive, and not just sitting back and waiting for the state. The response was sort of, that's a state job, not the county. They have the Department of Ag. We sat back. Now, the fire ants in North Kohala and all these places and all over the place because we didn't take it on ourselves. When I first got on the council, I called R&D forward, what have you been doing on this? Jeff Melrose said, well, no, we really haven't, but now we're trying to work on it. But last week, or maybe it was the week before now, I did a forum at UH with Bruce Matthews, and this was one of the big subjects. Again, I'm talking farming, the farms, and so that's why I'm just distinguishing. And working with the Big Island Invasive Species Committee, and we really feel that we need to be way more aggressive and proactive than we are right now. So I have spoken with Scott Enright and others, and I feel that we need to be doing hand in hand, because just going after the parks isn't going to do it. So I want to bring up, I'm very glad to hear this, but unfortunately they don't just hang out at the parks, and our animals and our kids and our farms and our foods are all being effective, and we don't want to be like what ended up in an area of Florida where everybody it's deserted. It's absolutely deserted because the whole agricultural area, no one will work there. So I, again, just as I tried to do back in 2008, impress on how significant this is. And to be very clear, if you listen to the legislature right now and you listen to the testimony over there, the focus in Oahu is, how do we keep it on the Big Island? How do we keep it on the Big Island? How do we find those who don't just keep it on the Big Island, okay? We'll let the Big Island to do a little pilot project. We didn't even get that passed. So I just want to, we're on our own here, and we need to really, anyway, that's my little pep talk on fire ants for today. Thank you.
Ms. Ward?
No, go. I'm after you.
Director Hanma, please tell the council and the public what methods you're using at this time to try to control/eradicate the ants from our parks, whether they're beach parks or inland parks.
Prior to working with UH and the Ant Lab and CTAR, we were treating and spot treating the nests with Amdro. And, that kind of worked for a little bit, but after working with the Hawaii Ant Lab, we're testing out baits with Siesta and Pro Bait right now, and that's going on at Richardson's Beach Park.
Excuse me, before you go on, are those granular or sprays?
All granular.
Okay.
Both of them granular. There was another one that we tested at the zoo. I forget the name, but it was kind of a jelly type of spray or mayonnaise type of substance that we tried to spray in the trees. And we don't have any sprayers that can manage that substance really
thick.
well.
Too thick.
Too thick. And so we're doing the Pro Bait and the Siesta as alternating baits currently right now. I think we did it on an 8-week cycle. In the first spray we did, we maybe knocked out 50% of the ant population there at Richardson's Beach Park. We did Siesta next, and I think there seems to be some the ant population's coming back again. The idea is to try to not only get the first generation, but all the other generations that come and hatch after. So, different types of methods, different types of treatments. We're trying it now. But if what we spray currently in our parks, if our neighbors don't manage what they have on their properties, just like you said, Margaret, is that we can only manage what we have on our parts. And, for that, it's very costly. We're currently just using our staff, but with the monies that we're asking from the state, we're looking to contract 3 workers and purchase the bait to manage the ant problems we have in all of our parks, island-wide. So we have them down at Nalehu, we have them in Keao, we have them in Pahoa, we have them Kohala. Along the beach parks, they're in all of our parks right now, and our zoo. Our zoo is probably the largest area that most densest and challenging population that we gotta manage as well too. So currently, we do have a grant that we wrote to Department of Agriculture, and they gave us $200,000 in that grant, but we're still short on the grant to fully do a full program exercise for the island according to the numbers that our parks maintenance wrote.
Mr. Hana, the gel that is, right now we do not have appropriate equipment to spray it. Does such appropriate equipment exist any place to spray these gels? Because I want to make sure that the public understands these ants get in the trees and nest in the trees, and then they drop down on people and animals. So, you got to get them in the trees as well as on the ground. So is there something
There's
existing?
nothing existing right now that we can purchase.
And if you water down the gel a little bit, can that still be sprayed?
I don't know about that one.
Okay.
So that we may have to experiment more
Okay.
with.
I'm, of course, very supportive of this. This has a direct impact, not just on people coming in and animals coming into our parks, but it has a massive impact, as Margaret stated, on our agriculture. We could literally lose our agriculture here because there are coffee fields with these things in them, and people won't go in right now and pick the coffee, and I don't blame them. So anything you can do or try, I think is worthy of your investigation, and then we can maybe hopefully get the right things or combination of things. It may be we have to mix several different things simultaneously and let it all kill everything. Nasty little creatures, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Onishi?
Okay, thank you. Just to add on to what Mr. Homa had mentioned is that, everything started when we started working with Dr. Kaz Vanderwood, who's with the Hawaii Ant Lab. And basically this team of Dr. Kaz Vanderwood, Dr. Harnot Hara, and also Parks and Rec being the manpower. And also because of their land area where they're infested, like that, for example, like Mr. Homa mentioned, the zoo was like totally infested. So they wanted to test to find out what would be the best pesticides to use, and also what would be the timetable of when you got to implement the treatments. And so that's what we're working on now. But like Dr. Kaz had gotten money from the Hawaii Tourism Authority, which was a partnership with Parks and Rec and with Hawaii Ant Lab, and they got some money, but that money is going to be running out. So that's why this funds was very important, so we can continue doing that. Dr. Kaz does have that treatment for the trees, which is just like a mayonnaise kind of a thing, but you have to squirt it on the trees because the ants would come down, get the solution and go back up, and they'll kill the I guess, what is it, their house nesting, their nesting place, and so that. But then now Dr. Anohara is trying to look at, because it's all in the coconut trees along our beaches, it's kind of hard to skirt that up there, or we're going to have to use like a lift to get them up, and then they can skirt up. So they're looking at, I'm trying to get them, Dr. Anohara with CTAR, partnership with Pisces, and do the drone, and get the drone to go up above the coconut tree and spray down. And then hopefully, if all this can be worked out and we can get everything, I guess, approved, and to make sure that this method really works, then this can be released out to the public and let the public know, okay, this is the treatment, this is what you need to do. Because like Ms. Willie said, yes, we can treat all the public facilities, but if the private properties have the fire ants and they don't do anything, they don't come back. So this is an effort where we're trying to make sure that we have the right method of how we can treat, and that's when it's going to go out into public. The Hawaii Ant Lab guys will publish this and let the public know this is what you can do, and this is the treatment method you got to do it, and this is the how long you need to do it. And so hopefully we can get that. And then, like as Mr. Homo mentioned, the Department of Ag, and we want to thank Scott Enright to helping in getting the $200,000 to Parks and Rec. And then also, if we can get this $400,000, so they'll have $600,000 to really treat the whole island and get things going out, and then we can hurry and get this thing done. So I just, asking for you guys' support. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Ford or Miss Willie? I'm not sure who was next.
I think.
Miss Willie?
Okay, I think part of the issue is the stigma, and that people don't want to admit that they have fire ants. And it's a really big psychological barrier that's going on. I know we've discussed, how do we map it? How do we at least get, do mappings and sort of break through this? And the application, or this being used by the private right now, is really quite expensive. And I'm trying to figure out, if there are ways, sort of, how can we combine the Koki frog people and get sort of more of these little armies, and get people into it as this is your community project, your neighborhood watch, you're under attack here. And your dogs, I saw a cat the other day that had it and was blinded, and it just, I hate thinking about the zoo having it. And get past that stigma. We just have to treat ourselves like we are, as an island, ill, and we're going to work together and do it. And the expense, how do we perhaps compensate or give partial, make it some kind of funding to make it sort of an incentive to people to help deal with it. So I'm not quite sure, but when it's just, nobody wants anyone to know they've got fire ants. I mean, that ruins your business. And I also think with Dr. Cass, one of the problems right now is Oahu's pulling him away. Now that they've spotted them in these other places, yes, he's under, fighting for him. He was here. Now it's hey, we've got one outbreak on Oahu. We're going to do this 18-month program, and we're going to have an army, and we're going to surround it 3 times, and we got to keep them on the Big Island mentality. And so I just to the extent, and hopefully Nancy and others may put something in the newspaper, ant crisis, but it's important. And how do we get past that stigma and really come together and just say, if we can work on this, if we can accomplish this, we can accomplish anything on this island. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ford.
Someone suggested. Peanut butter is great for attracting ants of any kind. And we usually use the chopstick peanut butter approach to find out if they're in pots where we buy them and bring them onto our property, which now it's too late once you get them on your property. But peanut butter is eaten by a lot of other animals. Birds like peanut butter. A lot of birds like peanut butter. And so you got to be really careful when you use that in a broad spectrum type of arrangement. So I personally would have a little hesitation in doing that to poison the peanut butter and then let it out there with all kinds of different animals. The other thing I was thinking of, I know in the coqui eradication, you can spray liquids and you can spray powders. Citric acid is a powder. Now, that's a very fine powder, and I know the Amdro is pretty coarse compared to the citric acid. We would have to grind, and I don't know how to do this, but we'd have to have a mechanical grind to make it a finer consistency. But I am death on these fire ants, and what I'm thinking of, and this is a suggestion and it's your business, if you spray a liquid sticky surfactant into the trees, I don't know what that would be right off this, top of my head, maybe sugar water. It's sticky. And then you follow that immediately with a dry spray of fine Amdro, all these other things, maybe a combination. You might wipe them out of the tree. Go ahead, Clayton.
Amdro is not good with water. Once Amdro is put on and the rain comes onto the Amdro,
It disintegrates. Okay.
It's not
What about
good,
the other two?
I don't know about the other
Okay,
two,
well,
so
hopefully
that might be a
something
good
will-
idea.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, we are on 444 as amended. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes
Can we
unanimously.
waive the 5-day?
Well, actually, Mr. Onishi, I do believe the amendment is substantial, so you would have to first, I think, amend the rule that requires us to hold it over for a substantial amendment. Because I think, research methods versus, what was your word?
Continued.
Yeah.
Continue.
I think that is substantial, so
Okay.
what is your pleasure?
Yep, I want to waive that rule.
Okay. The motion is to waive the rule pertaining to substantial amendments that require another reading. And there was a second by who? Mr. Kern? Okay. Any discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now, you were going to waive some kind of other rule?
Oh, and the 5-day.
Okay. Okay.
Motion to waive.
Motion to waive the 5-day
5-day
holdover rule, and seconded by, again, who? Mr. Kern. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, next item.
Resolution 445-14 urges the Hawaii Island legislators to request a $400,000 grant from the Hawaii Invasive Species Council to the Department of Parks and Recreation to research methods to control the spread of the little red fire ant. Urges the legislature to write a letter to the Hawaii Invasive Species Council requesting the above grant. Reference Communication 908, introduced by Mr. Onishi, waived GREDC.
Mr. Onishi,
Move to approve Resolution 445-14.
seconded by Mr. Ligon. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, at this time, I want to amend Resolution 445-14 with the communication of 908.1.
Seconded by Mr. Kanoa. Go ahead.
Okay, and this basically, again, it changes the title to the amount from 400,000 to 403,476, and instead of having research methods to take that out and control. And then we're taking out resolution, whereas number 2, that was the first one on the first whereas. And then on the third change would be taking out as a whereas, what number was that? Where we're taking out the Hawaii Ant Lab are working on a pilot project. It's supposed to has applied for a grant from the Hawaii Invasive Species Council to continue working on a pilot project with the Hawaii Ant Lab. Okay, and then in deleting the 6th paragraph as follows, whereas the Hawaii Invasive Species Council awards grants support, take that out. Then amending the 7th whereas clause to have the amount again changed, and then also to the Hawaii County Department of Parks and Recreation for the pilot project to fight the spread. And then on the last one for be resolved by the Council of the County of Hawaii. The amount can be changed again in the awarding of $403,476. Okay. Lot of
On the
changes.
amendment.
Yes.
Ms. Ford, on the amendment?
I think this is a question for the amendment, I'm not sure. But it's a question towards Mr. Onishi.
Go ahead.
The last bill that we did changed the amount, but we were asking it from the Invasive Species Council. This one is urging the Hawaii Island legislatures to do this.
To write a letter
To write a letter to
to the
them.
Hawaii invasive species.
Okay, so it's not two amounts of money,
No.
it's just a letter of
No,
support.
and I was going to clarify that.
Yeah,
because
go
the
ahead.
public had the
Yeah, when we get to the main motion. Any other discussion on the amendment? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, amendment passes.
Okay.
Main motion?
Thank you. Yeah, some testifiers was kind of confused. They thought we were trying to get two fundings, one from the legislature and then one from the Hawaii invasive species. But if you really look at it, it says that urges it's supposed to be urges the Big Island legislature to write a letter in support of the Hawaii Invasive Species Council requesting the above grant. Okay. So, Chairman Scott Enright had mentioned to me that once we apply for the grant for the Hawaii invasive species is to get our local Big Island legislatures to write a letter in support of that grant. And so this is what this resolution is to encourage all the legislators, the senators and our House reps to write a letter to the Invasive Species Council for granting that funding to the Parks and Rec. So I hope I can get all you guys' support. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Onishi?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I guess I gotta waive that rule about the substantial changes.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Ford. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of waiving the substantial amendment rule, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes
And then
unanimously.
one more,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair. Can I make a motion to waive the 5-day holdover?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Ford again. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, next item.